Part 1. The Last Shadow in the Eternal Forest. The forest had no name, because it didn't need one. It simply was. It was a place of eternal spring twilight, a green lung that breathed with the slowness of ages. There, the leaves refused to fall, clinging to the branches with an enchanted stubbornness. And the snow never dared to touch the ground, as if respecting an ancient pact. Time, in that domain, was not a straight line, but a perfect and serene circle. For Eliana, a unicorn, this was the totality of the universe, a cocoon of filtered light and reverent silence. Her body was a brushstroke of moonlight against the dark green tapestry. Her hooves, lighter than a falling leaf, left no marks on the damp earth. Her single horn, a spiral of mother of pearl that captured and refracted the faintest spark of light, was not a weapon, but an organ of sense, an antenna tuned to the world's own song. She was the soul of the place, and the place was her extended skin. She knew every root that snaked under the moss, every trickle of water that murmured in secret beneath the stones, every clearing where flowers bloomed in colors human eyes had long forgotten. Immortality, for Eliana, was not a burden, but a natural state. She did not see herself as a creature that lived forever, but as a fixed and eternal part of a picture that was also eternal. The seasons did not mark her with wrinkles or weariness, but with a succession of sensations, the damp perfume of earth after a passing rain, the sleepy buzz of insects at the height of summer, the fresh whisper of the wind heralding longer nights. She was as old as the sky and as constant as the moon, and this certainty was the foundation of her existence. Other creatures shared this sanctuary. They were not common animals, but beings made of the same stuff as dreams and nightmares. Tree spirits who whispered in woody dialects, goblins with luminous eyes who played hide-and-seek in root holes, and iridescent fairies who danced like living sparks in the sunbeams. With them, Eliana needed no words. Communication was an exchange of intentions, of pure feelings, a melody shared on the frequency of magic. They revered her not as a queen, but as a symbol, the living proof that the world still held an untouched heart. For centuries, perhaps millennia, the forest creatures had learned the art of concealment. It was not a complex spell, but a simple fold in reality, a small perceptual nudge that made unwanted eyes slide over them without registration. Eliana was the master of this art. When the presence of man, a harsh, dissonant vibration in the forest's fabric approached, she simply became more forest. Her white form dissolved among the trunks of the birches. Her glow dimmed to match the gloom. Her essence withdrew until she was just another note in the green symphony. It was a defense, yes, but also a declaration that some mysteries were not meant to be unraveled. It was on one such occasion, on a day that smelled of jasmine and wet earth, that the harmony was broken. Eliana felt the approach long before she heard any sound. It was a different vibration, not that of a lone lost hunter, but of a determined group. Carrying with them the metallic smell of iron and the chill of ambition, Eliana applied the old trick, bending the light around her, becoming a mirage, an unrealized possibility. 3 figures emerged from the thicket, dressed in worn pelts and armor. Their steps were heavy, thunderous compared to the silent tread of the forest's inhabitants. "An odd place this," said the youngest, wide-eyed, looking around with a mixture of fear and wonder. "No deer tracks, no boar, just ... silence." "It's the forest from the tales, boy," replied an older man, with a grizzled beard and tired eyes. He was the leader, his voice deep and laden with experience. "Creatures that live with unicorns learn magic over time, including how to hide." The young hunter let out a short, nervous laugh. "Unicorns? I thought they only existed in fairy tales." He kicked a stone with disdain. "This is a forest just like any other, isn't it?" The older man didn't answer. His gaze swept the clearing, lingering for a fraction of a second on the spot where Eliana stood, making her immortal heart beat faster, not from fear, but from surprise. He had almost seen her. It was then that the third man spoke. He was a thin fellow with a sharp face and eyes as dark and empty as dry wells. His name was Corbin, and he carried a bitterness that seemed to seep from his pores like a toxic vapor. "So why don't the leaves ever fall here, or the snow?" asked Corbin, his voice a hiss. "Why is it always spring here?" The leader looked at him, a flicker of concern in his weary eyes. "Riker, shut your mouth." But Corbin ignored the order. His penetrating gaze swept the forest, challenging. "I tell you," he spat the words, "as long as a single unicorn lives in this forest, we'll have nothing to hunt here. It's a cursed place, protected by an old magic. Let's turn around." "Go somewhere else," insisted the leader, his hand closing on the hilt of his sword. The atmosphere was growing heavy. Corbin finally yielded, but as he turned to leave, his black eyes met Eliana's. This time, it wasn't an almost, it was a collision. He did not see a white mare or a mirage. He saw her. The magic of concealment failed before that inner darkness. A twisted smile stretched his lips. "Fine," he said, his voice low, but sharp as a blade. "Stay where you are, poor beast." Eliana felt a cold that was not of winter run through her body. "This world is not for you," Corbin continued, each word a nail in the coffin of her innocence. "Stay in your forest and keep your trees green and protect your friends." He made a dramatic pause, his smile widening into an expression of pure contempt. "And good luck, because you are the last." And then they were gone. Their heavy footsteps faded, and the forest slowly regained its silence. But nothing was the same anymore. "Hey." Corbin's words hung in the air like a poison, contaminating the light, tainting the scent of the flowers. "Am I the only unicorn that exists?" he asked. The question echoed in her mind, not as a whisper, but as a shout. She, who had never doubted her place in the cosmos, felt the ground of certainty disappear beneath her hooves. Immortality, once a state of grace, suddenly felt like a solitary sentence. To be the last meant her existence was a fragile accident, a thread about to be cut. Her beauty would be merely a living epitaph for an entire race. Night fell, but sleep did not come. Ileana walked to the heart of the forest, a lake so clear it reflected the stars like pearls at the bottom of a casket. She looked at her reflection, the graceful form, the luminous horn. It had always been a symbol of power and purity. Now it seemed just ... empty, an artifact of an extinct world. "What do men know?" she whispered to the water, her voice rarely used, sounding strange in her own ears. "Just because they haven't seen unicorns in a while doesn't mean we've disappeared. We haven't vanished." The water did not answer. The stars kept shining, indifferent. Fury was a new and unpleasant feeling, a hot knot in her chest. She galloped through the clearings, her unusual agitation scaring the goblins and making the fairies retreat. "There has never been an age without unicorns," she proclaimed to the mute trees. "We live eternally. We're as ancient as the sky and as ancient as the moon. Can be hunted, captured, and even killed if we leave our forests, but we do not disappear." But the words sounded hollow. Doubt, once planted, had deep and poisonous roots. The uncertainty about herself and the whereabouts of her own kind became a constant companion, more persistent than any shadow. The forest, once her refuge, began to feel like a luxurious tomb. Every perfect tree, every eternal flower, was a reminder of the stagnation, of the possibility that the world outside had moved on and left her behind. She began to search for signs, for any hint that she was not alone. It was then that she found the butterfly. It was no common creature. Its wings were a kaleidoscope of colors that changed with the angle of the light, and its compound eyes held a glint of divine madness. It danced in the air, humming fragments of disjointed songs and poems. "Hello, butterfly. Welcome." Ileana greeted it, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. "Have you traveled far?" "How far I've traveled? Yes, sir. To be where you are," the butterfly replied, its voice a tinkling of tiny bells. Eliana, with a patience only the eternal possess, tried to steer the conversation. "Butterfly, in all your travels, have you seen others like me? At least one?" The butterfly paused on a flower, its wings pulsing softly. "Oh, I saw a man with a scarf." "The man with a scarf? The man with a scarf?" Despair began to tighten Eliana's heart. "Butterfly, at least one. Tell me if you've seen just one? One? Just one that might be mine? ... Down. Go and get it and be a star. ... Double quotes the butterfly hummed before taking flight in a random spiral. Hope drained away, replaced by bitter frustration. "I deserve that for asking you," Eliana murmured, watching the butterfly disappear among the trees. "The only thing butterflies know is songs and poems and nothing more." But then, Weeks later, when the doubt had become a dull, constant ache, the butterfly returned. This time, its flight was less erratic, and its eyes seemed a little more focused. Listen, listen. It chirped, landing on the tip of Eliana's horn. You can find them if you are brave. Eliana's heart raced. Find them? Who? They passed by a long time ago. The butterfly sang, and the Red Bull followed them and covered their tracks. Red Bull. What is the Red Bull? Eliana asked, her voice trembling. But the butterfly was already being carried away by another train of thought. It is the firstborn bull of His Majesty, and its horns are the horns of a wild ox. With them, it led the unicorns, all of them, to the end of the world. Listen. Where are the other unicorns, and what is the Red Bull? Eliana begged, galloping softly to follow the insect's wandering flight. Listen, listen. The butterfly shouted, rising toward the sky. The king is in his counting house, counting. Counting. Its voice was lost in the air, leaving behind a silence heavy with meaning. Eliana stood paralyzed. Were they just fragments, the delirium of a hallucinating creature? Or were they the only clue she would ever receive? The uncertainty about her species' whereabouts now had a name, the Red Bull, and a location, the kingdom of a king. Looking at the forest that had been her home for all eternity, Eliana made the most difficult decision of her long life. The safety of the known was a lie if the loneliness was the truth. Doubt was an anchor, but also a wind pushing her forward. I must go, she whispered to the tree spirits, to the starry lake, to the very air that sustained her. I must know if I am the only unicorn left in the world, and if they are hiding them all somewhere. If they need my help, I will return, as soon as I can. The next morning, without ceremony, Eliana walked toward the edge of the forest. For a moment she hesitated, feeling the familiar protective warmth of the place that had created her. Then, remembering the butterfly's words, if you are brave, she took a step out of eternity and into the transient world of men. The air outside was different, harsher, heavier with dust, and a strange smell of smoke and sweat. It was the smell of uncertainty, and she was immersed in it. Courage had taken her beyond the known. But the first contact with the blind and brutal reality of men would test not only her determination, but the very essence of what she was. The search for truth would soon become a struggle for her own survival, and the gift of invisibility would reveal itself as her cruelest curse. End of part 1. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and receive more videos like this. Thank you very much.